Mysteries of History Revealed, Dinosaurs to Extraterrestrials by Jeremy Auldaney. Copyright 2014, all rights reserved. And this is number 17 in this series. And we're starting on page 94 at the top. Now, we just read a Bible verse that talked about Satan and how he was in the garden. This tells us Satan was in Eden before he fell. This proves theories about Luciferian flood before Eden is false. It says angels were there when God created the earth. It says Lucifer was created during a day, which means it was during creation week. There were no days before this. Also, God says he created principalities and powers during creation week, which is a reference to angels, and they were also created to be ministering spirits and messengers to man. They were created to watch over the creation. They had to be created between day 1 and 4, possibly when he created the stars. As for the stars, sun, and moon, it says he created them to be for signs and seasons. In other words, for telling time, to know when to plant, and for marking prophetic events, to illustrate his majesty, and for spiritual symbolism. It says God set them in their place. This explains why all the materialistic speculation about whether the moon was captured or was expelled from the earth as a result of a giant asteroid impact or formed from matter accumulation will all be proven false. This explains their sizes, distance, speed, position, which make eclipses possible, which are too complex to be accidents of nature. The movement of the planetary bodies is more complicated than a common watch. The tetrad eclipses and blood moons, which fall on the beginning of Passover in 2014 through 2015, are signs warning us something is about to happen. To say they are coincidences is a materialistic explanation, and there's some creationists who said that. And all materialistic explanation of spiritual things have always been proven false. This is one of ICR scientists said that. And I was very disturbed when I read that. Evolutionists, because the Bible clearly says that they are for signs. We don't always know what signs they mean, but they are for a purpose. Evolutionists speculate that grass evolved and began to cover the earth about 40 million years ago, sometime in the Eocene, after dinosaurs became extinct for 25 million years. They claim grass is an index fossil identifying the Cenozoic. This contradicts the Bible, which says God created Leviathan and Behemoth in the beginning among the cattle with grass. Genesis 1:24. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth a living creature after his kind, cattle, creeping things, and beasts of the earth after his kind." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Job 40:15. Behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee, he eateth grass as an ox. End quote. He created them all to eat only plants in the beginning, because the soil was so rich, it produced all the elements that an organism would need. After the fall, it became depleted, and some animals became carnivorous due to this, as well as their fallen nature. In the Garden of Eden, there was no death or disaster or disease. Our depleted soils make it necessary to take vitamin and mineral supplements. An herbalist once said, "If you don't take supplements in the proper amounts, you will not live long." I have proven this personally, and that's God's herbs heal when man's drugs fail. Man was told to eat meat after the flood because the soil had become poorer by being leached during the flood, causing the oceans to become enriched in minerals. This is what it means when it says God cursed the dry ground. This is why we have to take supplements, and it also explains why kelp is valuable as fertilizer and as a supplement. Kelp is not a plant. It is identified as eukaryotic algae, like the duck-billed platypus, which is not related to anything we know of but has characteristics of reptiles, birds, mammals, amphibians. This is further evidence that things did not evolve from a common ancestor but were created individually by a common designer. Dinosaurs ate grass. Dinosaurs were created among the cattle which eat grass. Evolutionists claim that grass appeared after they became extinct, but the Bible is always found to be correct when science disagrees with it. Quote, "And God said, Let the earth bring forth grass, with the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so." The American Association for the Advancement of Science published Dinosaurs Dined on Grass in their journal Science by Dolores R. Piperno and Hans Dieter Sues, 18th of November 2005, volume 310, page 1126, found at sciencemag.org. Quote, "However, the possible coevolution of grasses and dinosaurs has never been studied. Now, Prasad et al. 1 report on page 1177 of this issue their analysis of phytoliths, microscopic pieces of silica formed in plant cells, in coprolites that the authors attribute to titanosaurid sauropods, note, sauropod behemoth, that lived in central India about 65 to 71 million years ago. Their data indicate that those dinosaurs ate grass." End quote. I believe that Satan spoke to Eve as a dinosaur, not a snake. Genesis states that all animals were created during creation week, and the only place that dinosaurs fit in is where it refers to the creation of cattle. This is not surprising, since it says they were all created to eat plants at first. So, proof of Satan possessing a dinosaur which ate grass is found in Genesis 3:14. Quote, "And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle." End quote. Lifespans lasting hundreds of years. The Bible says people lived an average of 900 years. And the earth was a perfect tropical paradise. It indicates it had what some have called a vapor canopy. This has been disputed because some claim the collapse of this canopy could not cause a worldwide flood covering the highest mountains. This has been a dispute among creationists. This is silly. No one ever said the collapse of the canopy caused the flood. It only caused the 40 days and 40 nights of torrential rain. It was the opening of the fountains of the deep water stored in the earth under pressure and raised the ocean levels and caused continental crossing tidal waves. The canopy vapor, or whatever it was, only protected the earth from harmful radiation from space and reduced lifespans and changed weather when it collapsed. And it also increased the atmospheric pressure and oxygen level and carbon dioxide levels. And also the pressure. Evidence indicates that both the canopy and the fountains of the deep were destroyed or damaged by explosions and impacts of asteroids, as well as geysers from burst from the subterranean water reservoirs. Since we know that the Mesozoic strata were formed at the end of the pre-flood world, we can seek the evidence there. Evolutionary paleontologists, predicted from their viewpoint, have claimed there must have been lots of diseases amongst dinosaurs. However, Dr. Bruce M. Rothschild, professor of medicine at the Northeastern Ohio University's College of Medicine and professor of biological engineering at the University of Akron, also a research associate at the Carnegie Museum of Natural History and the University of Kansas Museum of Natural History, tells us in an article, Scientific American, October 21, 1999. Do we know anything about the kinds of diseases that affect dinosaurs? By the way, Carnegie Museum, Carnegie is one of the Illuminati. He's one of the heads of it. And its evolution is Illuminati propaganda. It's found in the Protocols of Learned Elders of Zion. Quote, the most famous claim of disease in dinosaurs relates to osteoarthritis, previously referred to as degenerative joint disease. This claim was the precipitating factor for my entry to the fascinating field of paleopathology. Researchers routinely asserted that osteoarthritis was common in dinosaurs, and I simply wanted to illustrate a lecture. My search and X-ray studies failed to identify a single example until I saw the famous fossils of the iguanodon herd in Brussels. 2 herd members had osteoarthritis of the ankle. To date, they are the only identified dinosaurs that show signs of osteoarthritis. The question of what diseases affected dinosaurs is an intriguing one. Actually, dinosaurs may have been healthier than people are today. As far as we can tell from the fossil record, disease was relatively rare among the dinosaurs. Confirms creation predictions again. Rothschild tells us diseases were rare. Broken bones were also rare. Wounds were more common, especially among the carnivorous theropods. Sometimes injuries were caused during mating. This is exactly what the Bible indicates. Now, they also have found some wounds in duckbills, they think, during mating, and also some gouges on the frills of Triceratops where they battled. This atmospheric shield made a more favorable environment for life before the catastrophe. This explains the huge amount of plant material in coal deposits. Plants were carried, then dropped by moving water, forming massive coal deposits with few contaminants, like the pure salt deposits and pure diatomite, etc., which only happens in catastrophic flooding during unnatural conditions. If it were deposited naturally over millions of years, there would be lots of mixing of different things. You wouldn't find pure salt. You wouldn't find pure diatomite or pure sandstone. You'd find mixed, like today, like the soils of today. If these were deposited over millions of years, even tens of years, they would be mixed with all kinds of sediment and would not be so massive and pure. This proves sorting of material over a wide area over a short time. In fact, the fossil record is made up of water-deposited sediment. In fact, which had to be carried. Sediment means water deposited, and that's what all fossiliferous rock is called. In fact, the fossil record is made up of water deposited sediment, which has to be carried by rapidly moving water, which is deposited when it slows down. Almost all fossil deposits are made up of sediment. The word itself means water deposited. Even some called alluvion, which they say is deposited by wind, evidence indicates it was water. The atmospheric shield also makes radioactive dating inaccurate. It causes the radioactive dating to give older dates than they really are. They measure the difference between the parent element and the daughter element it deteriorates into. The problem is the assumed daughter element may have been redeposited from elsewhere, or it was created and did not come from radioactive breakdown, and the water catastrophe is ignored by evolutionists, contaminated the samples. Radioactive dating fails while carbon-14 proves dinosaurs are thousands of years old. They have used potassium argon, argon to argon, uranium to lead, rubidium to strontium, and uranium to thorium, which can only date volcanic rock. These methods always give dates in millions or billions of years, except for carbon-14, which only dates carbon in organic substances that are no more than 10,000 years old when using the Ames method, which has allowed them to date smaller and older samples more accurately, including dinosaur bones. University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, more bad news for radioactive dating at website cs.unc.edu. We now have so many things that can make radiometric dating go wrong. Quote, furthermore, if there are special circumstances that invalidate the method, then this raises questions about the method in general. It's been an eye-opener to me to see all the processes that lead to segregation of different minerals in the magma. We have gold appearing in pure at times, silver pure at times, etc. And no one says this is due to radiometric decay. The geological processes at work have a tremendous ability to separate different kinds of elements and minerals, and yet we expect that uranium to lead ratios are determined by radiometric decay alone, or at least sometimes. There are so many complicated phenomena to consider like this that it calls the whole radiometric dating scheme into question. We haven't even considered the fact that uranium is highly water-soluble and lead is not, which could make the dates too old, too, another factor to consider. We now have so many things that can make radiometric dating go wrong, and isochrons don't remedy the situation at all, that I think the weight of evidence of radiometric dating is nullified. End quote. When lava from Mount St. Helens, which erupted in 1980, was dated, it produced dates of millions of years, as did the lava from Hawaii, which had historical footprints in it that confirmed it was hundreds of years old, not millions. Also, the top part of the same lava flow often dates younger than the lower part. Radioactive dating using different methods also produced different dates for the same rock. The above article also confirmed that the deeper the rock, the older it dates due to mineral sorting and not age of the rock. Thermoluminescence dates recent archaeological rocks and artifacts, but it is new and has lots of problems too. Only carbon-14 dating recent organic substances is close, but even carbon-14 gives dates that get older the older the sample is, stretching the older dates beyond their true historical date. The older it is, the older it appears to be. Part of the problem is there was very little radioactive carbon-14 before the destruction of the hydrostatic equilibrium of the canopy radiation shield, marked by the KT boundary, which was destroyed by atomic-like explosions in the atmosphere by carbonaceous chondrite asteroids, comets, and meteors. Evidence from NASA says they believe the Cretaceous asteroid is the same carbonaceous chondrite type as the ones that exploded over Tunguska in 1908, and another during the Dryas after the flood in the Pleistocene. Evidence of two cataclysms in the Bible. I will continue this next time. This is number 17 in this series.